What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Very Cold Lasagna podcast, the podcast that houses a safe and open listening platform for casual, cold, and even the dumbest takes on the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of pro wrestling and sports in general. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to today's episode number 35. And when you're a casual, a hardcore, or core fan like me, we're in that middle spectrum of casual and hardcore. Whatever fan you are, it's time to open up that fridge and grab that very cold lasagna. Because today, we got another good show for you all. Because we got another edition, the second one, of the Multitopical Wrestling episode. Now, if you missed the very first one back in March, I pretty much had a lot on my plate when it came to wrestling. There was just so much I wanted to talk about. There's so much on my mind. So, it was kind of big, too big to put in like separate videos. So I thought to myself, hey, why not do another multi-topical wrestling episode? Whether it's news or speculative. And you know what? Here we are once again with a second edition of the multi-topical wrestling episode. And as you can tell by the bottom half of the screen, it's episode number 2, Rolling Silent for WWE. You can probably tell what one of the first topics is going to be. But anyway, if you didn't see the first episode, like I said before, we're going to be talking about multiple topics here on today's show. We're going to be talking about a variety of things, and I'm going to giving my takes at a pretty speedy pace. It's not going to be like my usual Very Cold Lasagna episodes where I focus on one particular topic and, go all out on it. I'm going to be pretty much precise, speedy about it, move on to the next topic, and that's how it's going to roll here on today's episode of Very Cold Lasagna. But before we get into the multi-topical wrestling episode, the second edition, we got to do them plugs like we always got to do to start the show. So anyway, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified of each and every episode to see this beautiful face, and listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM, and follow me on social media. You never know what I'm going to be posting on there, on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. So let's get into the first topic of this multi-topical wrestling episode number 2. And as you can tell by the subtitle, WWE went rolling silent at a music festival that happened last Friday in Miami, Florida. It was a music festival called Rolling Loud. It's this hip-hop festival in Miami that had musicians like 21 Savage, Post Malone, Travis Scott. I don't know exactly, but I don't know if Cardi B was also there, but I'll probably have to check again. But nonetheless, WWE did this collab with Rolling Loud, and for a good 7 or 10 minutes on last Friday's SmackDown, while most of the show was in Cleveland, Ohio, the land of LeBron James, they aired 2 matches for the festival portion. So on paper, it seemed like a good idea. WWE gets big exposure in front of big crowd at a music festival. But my God, it was embarrassingly bad. It was so bad. I put out in a tweet that Rolling Loud segment was so bad. Everyone was just crickets. They didn't know how to react. Because, well, WWE put out a bunch of mid-carders. They put out no names in front of people expecting to see, I don't know, musicians. I honestly don't know what the attendees were. Their first reaction was. I don't know what their first reaction was when they saw, oh, SmackDown is on the set list. What's a SmackDown? What's a WWE? Are they a musician? Are they a rock band? Are they a hip hop artist? What's a SmackDown? And once they saw a ring of, whether it's a wrestling ring or a boxing ring, they're like, so is this like the piss break or something? And it turned out to be the piss break, because you put out the Street Jobbers, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, and then you put out Chad Gable and Otis, And then you put out Bianca Belair and Carmella. I mean, Carmella's, but I mean, some people might find Carmella, yeah. But still, these are no names to people that either have never watched wrestling or people that do watch wrestling but are the true wrestling fans, the casuals in the wrestling community. If you wanted people to get excited at that festival, you would have put out John Cena and Roman Reigns, have them continue their feud at Rolling Loud. People would have gotten excited for that. At least some people would have cheered or booed to an extent to John Cena. They would have gone like, and his name is John Cena. And I don't know why WWE thought that wasn't a good idea. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. And nobody on social media even thought this was good. Whether it was the people in attendance or the people, the wrestling fans thought this was good. That portion of the show tells you enough that, yeah, wrestling is as irrelevant as it is today. Especially to the true wrestling fans, the casuals. The casuals are the ones that matter to pro wrestling. They're the ones that matter to gaining new viewership, like merchandise, ticket sales, ratings, etc., etc. And if a wrestling company doesn't put in the effort to attract new viewers or get people to buy merchandise, then they lose viewers. They lose money. And this was a big example of that. This is a big example. And honestly, a lot of the casual mentality is gone now because of the IWC, like pretty much gatekeeping pro wrestling away from the casuals. They're fuck the casual mentality. Like, oh, this is our sport. They pretty much made it the opposite of sports, to be honest with you. Like, at least with sports, like, it's very open to casual. It's casual friendly. You can at least watch it without any judgment whatsoever. With wrestling, no, you can't. It's like if you watch wrestling, you try to tell your friends about wrestling. It's like, yeah, you're pretty much shunned. It's disappointing. And if you try to talk about wrestling online, you get shunned for it too. That's sad. You get shunned by the smarks. It sucks. It's literal gatekeeping. But anyway, back to the Rolling Loud thing. It's just no wonder why pro wrestling will never reach the popularity or like the name recognition it once had, because nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows a Bianca Belair. Nobody knows a Carmella, because WWE and to a degree, like, this is in general, these companies don't put in any effort to, educate people who they are. This is the problem. They make you do the research, and that's a problem. They make you do the work when it's their job to educate you on who they are. WWE did this a lot back in the day. I don't know why wrestling companies like make you do it now. Sure, we're in the age of the internet, but still, isn't the point of a TV show to inform, entertain, and I guess to a degree persuade you? Isn't it? It's the same thing with wrestling. I don't know why it strayed away from that so much. Oh, so we could put on good technical work rate, some great 5-star cuck-a-suck clone matches. It makes no sense. And Rolling Loud was a big rolling silent fail for WWE. And that was a big example of casuals are very much needed in pro wrestling. It's very much needed, to be honest with you. And I'm just tired of the casual gatekeeping, like keeping the casuals away from pro wrestling by the IWC. But anyway, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Because there were some things, or lack thereof, that happened on the road to SummerSlam in Vegas. Which, by the way, Vegas is now having a mass mandate because of the Delta variant of COVID. So for those of you attending SummerSlam, just keep your mask on at all times. So there you have it. That might persuade you to not attend or sell your tickets, but we'll see what happens with SummerSlam in Vegas. So a little news flash there. So anyway, back to Monday Night Raw. Some Raw highlights for you. So Nikki Cross opens the show celebrating her Raw Women's title cash in from the previous week. So, brief memory refreshment. Yeah, Nikki Cross won Money in the Bank, the Women's Money in the Bank. She just, did that Luigi wins by doing absolutely nothing meme impression. She just casually climbed up the ladder, grabbed the briefcase, won the briefcase. Then the next night, cashed in, won the Raw Women's title. And, you already know my thoughts on this. I thought it was too fast for as much as I don't like the gimmick. Too fast for Nikki Cross. But anyway, so she's celebrating. She's talking about what the character is about. I mean, at least they're trying to explain the character. At least they're at least trying with character development. But the problem here is the promo. This is where, like, when I was watching highlights for today's episode, this was the problem with Nikki Cross's promo. She's still calling herself almost a superhero, even after winning the title, because she believes in herself and she's not afraid of anything anymore, especially after winning the Raw Women's title. So she also says, if you believe in yourself too, and if you're not afraid of anything, you can almost be a superhero. You can't be a superhero. You can almost be a superhero if you believe in yourself and you're not afraid of anything. You can be a superhero if you believe in yourself. You can almost be a superhero. How does that make sense? How does almost being a superhero, how does believing in yourself so you can almost be a superhero make sense? Like, that's like saying, Patrick Starr believing himself to almost become Patrick Man. I don't know if you, I don't know. I don't know if that's the best example for like modern SpongeBob fans. Patrick has how stupid he is. Using his willpower to defeat the Dirty Butthole to almost become Patrick Man, whatever it is. I'm trying to come up with the best example possible, but regardless, they're sending the wrong kind of message here to kids. Because that's what WWE's audience is. The kids. You have to think of the kids. So, yeah, it's like wrong messaging here. Like, you can't almost be a superhero if you believe in yourself. You have to go the whole route. If you believe in yourself, you can be a superhero. And why is it that when you attain the highest possible goal, aren't you supposed to already be a superhero? I don't know. Or maybe it's just that she's still almost a superhero because she wants to obtain more. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But then again, what's there left to not be almost a superhero? What's there left so Nikki Cross can be Nikki superhero? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm looking too deep into it when I really shouldn't, to be honest with you, because this gimmick is, not the greatest. But yeah, this really is mind-boggling. This is really mind-boggling. So Charlotte later came out and she cut promo in the most god-awful way possible, talking like how really I talk. Me talking like this. Stuttering like my ass does a lot here on this show. It's saying, pretty much like that. Charlotte was talking pretty much like how I talk, both here on the camera and off camera. But I will give her this, for as much as I hate her, she at least made one decent point. Nikki Cross doesn't have the star power to carry the women's division. But then Charlotte's kind of a hypocrite, telling Nikki Cross that, and I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, Charlotte doesn't have the star power herself to carry a women's division either. So I don't know why she's telling Nikki Cross that. So Rhea Ripley came out, demanded a rematch too. And then Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville came out to book a triple threat match for the Raw Women's title, and then set up Nikki Cross versus Charlotte in a non-title match for the main event of Raw, which Charlotte won. And then Nikki Cross went on this promo talking about how she almost beat Charlotte, and that almost made her a superhero, and then challenged her to a rematch next week. And then Charlotte attacked her to end the show. And then they did this all like in a hurry because the Olympics was going to continue coverage after Raw. So yeah, this Raw Women's program is bad, really bad. Like, the opening segment, when I had to watch snippets of it, I had to play at 2x speed because, like, not only was their talking so bad, it was as bad as my stuttering, but it's just the writing on the wall. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, I'm just still baffled. Like, how is Nikki Cross still almost a superhero? Even when she's at the top of the women's division. Does she need to prove herself that she belongs as Raw Women's Champion? Does she need to surpass the stalest Chips Becky Lynch as the longest Raw Women's Champion? Why is she still almost a superhero? Maybe they need to explain that, so I can, not look into this much deeper than I should. But I guess, Nikki Cross is not a Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll-esque Seattle She-Hulk, She's not, at least she's not one of those like Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. And I will say this, for as much as this whole triple threat doesn't make any sense, at least it keeps Becky the Cringe Lynch off TV. So, that's good enough for me. It keeps Becky the Cringe off TV. So, other things that happened on Raw included Bobby Lashley dominating in a handicap match against his former Hurt Businessmen, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander in a handicap match. So this was pretty much to send a message to Goldberg. Bobby Lashley even did like spears and jackhammers to both of them to send a message. And yeah, Goldberg wasn't there in Kansas City. So I don't know, they're prolonging this announcement for the match for SummerSlam. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. So, also, something else that happened on Raw that was kind of relevant was the NXT champion Karrion Kross beating former NXT champion Keith Lee in a rematch from NXT TakeOver 30? Was it 30 last year? I think it was last August, whatever it was. But anyway, and people are upset by this because, well, the fact that they were booked in the match in the first place and that neither person could afford a loss. People were hoping like a count out or a disqualification or a no contest or something. But Karrion Kross tapped out Keith Lee in the cross jacket submission. And yeah, I mean, I actually have to side with people, like the people complaining about this on this one, because WWE just likes to book themselves in corners a lot. Like they did it last week with Karrion Kross and Jeff Hardy, who came back with a huge ovation, coming out with his old theme song that I love so much, No More Words. But they continue to do it again by booking themselves in a corner, putting two guys that can't afford a loss, and nobody wins in the end. Like, I don't know why they continue to do this. And there's a lot of other stupidity that happened, like Lily Lucian, whatever that is, the Miz's jizz stick, that all that coming out of his jizz stick, and Matt Riddle being stupid as fuck as usual, and then the backward writing on the superheroes sending mixed messages that I've been talking about, and a bunch of other stupidity. And you know what that got? The Raw rating was 1.84. Now again, I don't talk about ratings that much, but yeah, this is a result of pure stupidity. Like, I don't know why Raw continues to be this way. I really don't. And this is even like with the show that's building towards a major match with Bobby Lashley and Goldberg. Honestly, even with Cena and Goldberg last week, they didn't even crack 2 million viewers, and that's sad. That's very telling of how even with all the drawing power that they have with the real wrestling fans, aka the casuals, they can't help reach 2 million because the rest of the show sucks ass. And yeah, without them, yeah, WWE's lucky to only get that low of a drop from 1.9 to 1.84. But imagine once Goldberg and Cena are gone after SummerSlam, my God, the fans in attendance are not going to be happy. Like with the show that WWE produces, whether it's a Raw or SmackDown after SummerSlam. And you wonder why both casuals and smarks hate the shit show. Like for the battle lines that casuals and smarks have in pro wrestling, they can at least agree in harmony that Raw sucks. We can all at least agree on that, right? Right. So let's continue on here. We have a couple more topics here on the Multitopical Wrestling episode number 2. WWE is apparently having a Queen of the Ring tournament. Yeah. A Queen of the Ring tournament. Think about that. So the dates, according to Andrew Zarian of the Mat Men podcast, are scheduled for the October 8th SmackDown and the October 11th SmackDown. Not the October 11th SmackDown, the October 11th Monday Night Raw. With the finals set in, guess where? Saudi Arabia, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that is right. Blood money, Saudi Arabia is making a comeback in WWE. Oh my God. Just when you thought that the pandemic would have taught WWE a valuable lesson in not going back to that blood money place. But no, they're going back because they got blood money obligations to fill. But yeah, I just don't understand why they have to go back there. And in regards to the Queen of the Ring tournament, I have a lot of questions. How many women are going to be in this tournament? Is it going to be like that 16-man field that WWE often does with the King of the Ring tournament? And even then, do you even have enough qualified women to do this tournament? I don't think so. I really don't. Or they're going to do this. Let me see. They're going to do this. They're just going to have Charlotte Flair and all the tag teams like Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox, they're in one bracket, and then Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler in the other bracket, and then Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell in the other bracket, and then there's Charlotte Flair getting a first round bye in the other bracket, and then it'll all come full circle, and Charlotte Flair is going to be made the Queen of the Ring. Oh my God, and all the smarts are going to come in rage. Come on, y'all. Once this Queen of the Ring bullshit becomes official and Charlotte is in it, and you still won't believe this was all set up for Charlotte to become an official queen with a crown, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. This Queen of the Ring, and if Charlotte Flair is going to be in it, it's all going to be designed for her. Nothing more, nothing less. It's all bullshit. In all honesty, King of the Ring, like in general, hasn't meant shit since Brock Lesnar won it in 2002 and won the WWE title from The Rock in that classic Brock versus Rock match at SummerSlam. So what makes you think that both a Queen of the Ring tourney is going to mean anything whenever it's official? I'm just curious. I don't know. It's an interesting point. So apparently that's going to be a thing. It's just a matter when WWE officially announces it, probably after SummerSlam, that this Queen of the Ring thing is going to be made official. I'm honestly kind of surprised that, well, not really, that Evolution 2 hasn't been a thing. But then again, there's no star power on the women's roster and in general. So, moving away from WWE, let's talk about All Elite Wrestling. In today's episode, to wrap it up, let's talk about, two wrestlers that are the Smarks' favorites, CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. And apparently, there had been speculation, and it's been a hot topic for the last 2 weeks, that they may be All Elite. So let's start with CM Punk. So various dirt sheets have reported that CM Punk is preparing for an in-ring return to pro wrestling. And the last time he wrestled was at the Royal Rumble in 2014. And as I mentioned for the last month, in the retro review of Money in the Bank and the Pipe Bomb retro review, CM Punk walked away ungrateful, bitter. His own ego consumed him. But nonetheless, he's preparing for an in-ring return. AEW is his most preferred destination. And there are possible other signs that he's going to AEW, like his band, like the band that performed Cult of Personality, CM Punk's other theme song in WWE. Living Color started following AEW on Twitter, and then Punk put up this social media video like trolling all the people that were following the rumors. So that's what's going on with CM Punk right now. So nothing confirmed yet. So in regards to Daniel Bryan, the dirt sheets have also speculated that he could also be signing with AEW, and that a deal is already locked up. So obviously nothing official yet. There's nothing official, ladies and gentlemen, with either of these guys going to AEW. They could already be signed. They could already shown up on Dynamite. They could have already shown up at Fight for the Fallen. Or who knows? They could show up at All Out. But at the time of this recording, at the time of this episode, neither has happened. But obviously things can change. But I will say this. Whatever Daniel Bryan and CM Punk want to do, it's their choice. I don't care. I'm just the guy sitting in a chair talking about pro wrestling. And a lot of these people that are reporting it, they're talking about it on their own podcast, are in the same shoes. We're guys just expressing opinions. Like personally, I'm not as smarky as them. I'm just a guy that just wants to see good pro wrestling, like larger than life characters and good matches with actual clear cut storytelling. Unlike certain podcasters and dirt sheet writers. But going back to Daniel Bryan, yeah, you already know how I feel about him. Outside of that Yes movement, this dude, yeah, it's not interesting. This dude is not interesting. So he can have all the matches, all the creative control he wants in AEW, but he's not going to move the needle. He is not going to make any noise. He's not going to help AEW make any noise on the mainstream market. He's not going to attract any real wrestling fans, like casual wrestling fans. The ones that are most interested in trying to get engaged with pro wrestling, trying to see that larger-than-life character. Daniel Bryan is not that guy. And I'm mostly concerned about Daniel Bryan and AEW. And because, AEW has that very strong indie style that does all the flips and the kicks. And Daniel Bryan fills the void with the kicks portion of that style of wrestling. And Daniel Bryan does dives too. So I'm very concerned about his health, because this is a dude that already retired once due to concussions. And one bad bump, one botch could cut his career short again. I'm just concerned. I don't want Daniel Bryan to, but I'm just saying. I'm concerned about Daniel Bryan the person, like his safety. So if he wants to go there, more power to him. I would just, hopefully he has a schedule that fits him, that's good for his health, that works for him. So as for CM Punk, I have a lot of things to say about it. I honestly like Punk over Bryan and a lot of the indie schmucks that are out there. sure, he has a lot of the move. He had a lot of the moves that a lot of like people like Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole, Seth Rollins possess nowadays. But unlike them, he can at least cut a damn promo. He can at least cut like promos. He has good verbal charisma, like, you know, walking, like, you know, those non-verbal charisma, not so much, but on the mic, he's pretty good. Like, I'll give him that. But I just don't know if, you know, the real wrestling fan, the casual, is gonna like enjoy CM Punk being back in pro wrestling after 7 years of, you know, being away from the product. You know, like, I don't even know if like wrestling fans, like, you know, the casual, the core fan enjoyed CM Punk in the first place in wrestling, like being in the main event scene after the pipe bomb. And in all honesty, in my opinion, I think the ship has sailed on CM Punk returning to wrestling. Like, if he wanted to return to wrestling so bad, he should have done so in 2019. Like, when he was still on that FS1 show. He should have made a return at the Royal Rumble, like, in 2020. Yeah, sure, Edge was there, but CM Punk could have also made a return. But, yeah, he's been gone for over 7 years. And his name value is next to nothing. I'm sorry to say it. Outside of the hardcore wrestling bubble, he has next to no name value. Like none. And I'm just, like with Daniel Bryan, I'm just kind of wondering, like, how is his body? Especially after being gone from the ring for so long. Now, sure, he had that failed UFC career, but ever since then, I just hope he's been, like, you know, staying healthy, trying to gain some muscles and all that, trying to work out. But he's 42, and, you know, I just hope that if he comes back, I hope he has a good comeback in pro wrestling, but I just hope his body will be able to keep up with it. So both Punk and Bryan will be novelty acts. When they come to AEW, people will be like, "Oh yeah, they're finally here. They're gonna change the game." But yeah, after like a couple weeks, it'll show that, yeah, they're just guys in AEW, and it'll pretty much be the same. You know, it'll be like the gatekeeping ass wipe of an organization that doesn't want casuals there. That doesn't want casuals watching their you know, beloved 5-star matches with Kenny Omega and the Cucks of Suck and Cody Rhodes. But I mean, more power to CM Punk and Daniel Bryan going to AEW if they want to. I'm just saying that they're not going to move the needle. They're really not going to move the needle in getting mainstream attention, getting real, actual wrestling fans to watch the product. Sorry to say it. So, to wrap up today's episode, I want to talk about AEW again, because they seem to be extremely concerned with the Delta variant in the relation to that the COVID cases in relation to the Delta variant, with the recent surges of the Delta variant COVID cases. But anyway, to continue on with my rambling ass and my stuttering ass, Cassidy Hayes, a writer for Bodyslam.net, he broke some news on major events in cities like Chicago and New York for AEW possibly being affected by the Delta variant of COVID-19. And some key quotes that I pulled up from the article are as follows, and I quote, "While speaking to sources within, I was told that AEW is extremely concerned about the recent surge in COVID cases possibly disrupting their events for Chicago, New York, St. Louis, and beyond. Over the last week, discussions have ramped up internally as COVID cases have begun to explode across the country, thanks to the Delta variant, by the way. This has caused AEW to begin conversations about what to do if there's a shutdown, up to and including a potential prolonged return to Daly's place in Jacksonville again. Additionally, I was told that it's an all hands on deck type situation currently, but ultimately Tony has to make a decision about what is right for the talent and especially the fans. With the CDC now recommending national mask guidelines, the concern is that it's only a matter of time before they recommend the banning of large gatherings. I was told that right now, their biggest concerns are the status of the upcoming shows in Chicago and New York, as both cities have been proactive in regards to preventing measures as an attempt to stop the recent surge in new cases. So internally, AEW is continuing with their existing plans, but they're paying close attention to what local authorities in Chicago and in Cook County, I think that's in New York, as well as other parts of the country are doing, as the company potentially has the biggest events in their history slated over the next few months. So I will give AEW this, for as much as I rag on them about, gatekeeping from the casuals, like not having any larger than life characters, not doing any storytelling or enough storytelling, I will say at least they're trying to, adjust, and they're paying attention to the COVID pandemic. Unlike WWE, they're paying much more attention. They're on top of their game to the pandemic than WWE is. But man, this sucks. Like this is not good. Like, I'm no health expert or doctor or anything, and I'm looking at the symptoms of the Delta variant. They're the same as the standard coronavirus. Like, some of the symptoms are fever, dry cough, muscle ache, shortness of breath, except the Delta variant is much more infectious and spreads faster apparently. And it's sadly, a lot of the states, including here in California, are going back to mask mandates in public places. And I know a lot of people, whether they're vaccinated or not, they're not happy about that. And I know a lot of people that are going to be attending these wrestling events, whether it's SummerSlam in Vegas, All Out in Chicago, or that Dynamite in the tennis stadium in New York. They're not happy. They're probably not going to be happy about having to wear a mask at all times in the crowd. Some of them will be willing to, but not all of them are. It's just a sad situation. Now, obviously, if I were to attend a show, I would be perfectly fine wearing a mask at all times. I know some people aren't, but it's just that if AEW has to move back to Daly's place, like, that's good for them, Like, they're doing this for the safety of their staff, the wrestlers, the executives, everyone in AEW. At least they're on top of it. They're putting the safety of themselves over everyone else. And they're doing it out of necessity. And if they do end up going back to Daly's place for a prolonged period of time, especially if for whatever reason there's a shutdown again, which I hope there isn't, don't get butthurt. Please don't. Like, this is just, like, for as overblown this COVID thing can get, like, it's serious. It's really serious. It's like the health of everyone, whether you're a wrestler or a health worker or like whatever occupation you are. It's more important than attending one or two wrestling events. Even if you consider this COVID an overblown fear tactic. So hopefully it doesn't, the surge in COVID cases don't rise too dramatically, and hopefully there's not a shutdown again. I hope that it's steady, but not obviously to the point that a WWE or an AEW has to go back to the pandemic times where they had to go to a Thunderdome or a Daly's place or whatnot. But if they have to, then we have to respect it. It's for the safety of others. It's for the safety of their workers, But that's just my 2 cents on that. So Again, I'm no health expert, but it's just my thoughts. So anyway, that's it for this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. That's it for the Multitopical Wrestling episode number 2. Rolling silent for WWE. And some things about AEW. But anyway, what do you guys think about this episode? What do you guys think about the topics discussed in this Multitopical Wrestling episode, the second edition? Let me know. Whether it's the comments on YouTube or comment on the post on Twitter or Instagram, or however way you want to discuss about this on the relation of this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. Let me know. Speak your mind however way you can. But anyway, that's it for this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Make sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell on YouTube. Listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports in that fridge, very cold. And I just hope that this surge in COVID cases doesn't get too high, so people can attend shows, even with masks, so they can have a good time. Whether it's at SummerSlam in Vegas or All Out in Chicago, let these wrestling fans have a good time. And if they have to move it back, respect WWE or AEW's decision. Please do. But anyway, that's it for me. Until next time, until the next episode of Very Cold Lasagna, peace out.